Everyone, Repoze here, and I'm back with another tier list video updated for the new wipe. Obviously, I gotta give a disclaimer that all of this, every class that I rank here, all the rankings could just change up on the first day of wipe when they release the patch notes, because they could just shift the whole balance of the game on patch day, who knows. But these are my thoughts on the classes going into the new wipe. Another thing I want to say before I get into it is they're doing Twitch drops again. If you don't know what that is, they're basically giving away free cosmetics if you watch certain Twitch streamers during drops. And I'll be live pretty much all day, every day at twitch.tv/Repoze. So go ahead and tune in if you want some free cosmetics. So starting off with solo classes, first thing I'm doing is putting Ranger and Us. I have to do like a little Ranger rant before we get into it here. So in my opinion, Ranger is just the best class in the game in every single game mode, basically. And the reason for that, obviously Ranger has insane damage at range. Everyone knows that. It makes sense. Arguably the best range damage in the game. You could say like Wizard deals more range damage at like medium range sometimes, but like, overall Ranger, best range damage in the game, right? That makes sense. Obviously, like, so much of this game revolves around dealing range damage as well, that already, like, alone, you can see how Ranger is very, very good. But the thing is, Ranger also has some of the best melee fighting in the entire game as well, and it's only because of Spear and Backstep. The Spear Backstep combo, if you watch someone who has mastered this combination of abilities, they genuinely look unstoppable. And after watching it a bunch, I played a bunch of solo Ranger this wipe, and I got like pretty decent at it after playing it for about a week or so. And I could just see that, yeah, Ranger Spear Backstep is so insane. It just makes the class, it's obviously God at range, and in melee it's also God, so Ranger's best class in the game, throw him in mass. I think like you can fight every other class in the game in solos on Ranger. It doesn't have any absolutely horrible matchups. I think there are a couple of matchups that are not Ranger favored, but I would say if you're good at the class, most matchups are Ranger favored. On top of that, so obviously there's Spear Backstep, insane in melee, but you also have Tracking, which is like arguably the best solo perk in the entire game, or I think it's called Chase, not Tracking, but yeah, that perk just makes it so you get landmined by people so much less, and no other class has something like that. Other than maybe Dreamwalk on Druid, but yeah. So next, Warlock, probably throw him in like B tier. Warlock got nerfed, lost some plus all on Soul Collector, and on top of that, Warlock actually got really affected by the B-Hop and the, what's it called? The Hot Swap removal. And those two things being gone, like, Warlock was the class that got affected by those the most, I would argue. So, it's a lot weaker now that those are gone. If someone gets on you, you're kind of just screwed. Obviously you have Phantomize, but it feels like everyone is kind of move speed capped these days anyway, so Phantomize doesn't even really help you get away if someone's on top of you. Also, I don't think melee Warlock is very good in solos, so you're kind of forced to play the Phantomize kiting build, and that build isn't even that good in my opinion. So I'm in B tier. I think it's playable, but it's not great. Next you have Cleric. He's going into C tier. Cleric is pretty bad. I wouldn't put him in D. It's playable, and you can win for sure if you're good at it, but I think Cleric, like, you pretty much just have to go Smite Divine Protection. So no spell Cleric if you want to win. And then the problem with that is if you play that and you run into a rogue with Cutthroat, you just lose that matchup like 100% of the time. You also get obliterated by Ranger, and I think, yeah, other classes have good matchups in the Cleric. If you're cracked at it, like, you can make it work. Next you have Wizard. Wizard I'd throw in B tier. I don't think Wizard is too great in solos, just because you have to reset for spells. And when you don't have teammates that can cover you, resetting for spells can just be horrible. So, like, it feels like you can play Wizard, and then you get ran at by some crazy barbarian, right? And then you kill him. And then you're completely out of spells, and then, you know, the Druid comes flying in, and it's over for you. And yeah, that's kind of the problem. I think if you do play Wizard in solos, I think the instacast build is probably the strongest build. It almost feels kind of cheesy. Like, the instacast Wizard feels very, very strong. I just think the problem is having a hard time resetting on the class makes it not that great for solos, but we'll say you, like, in the strict 1v1 fight, it is still very, very good. Next we have Bard, and Bard I would throw probably an A tier. I mean, the fact that Bard, this tier list, I'm trying to think of classes as a whole. So, you know, 1v1 fighting potential, how they deal with third parties, even like PvE, clearing the map, getting around. If we congregate all of those factors into a class to rank them, then I would put Bard in A. Bard, it kind of just one-shots every mob and every boss, so you're never going to have a problem with those just because you have Shriek. And then I think in the 1v1 also, Bard's pretty good. I think if you're really good at Bard, go with the Buckler. Class has like really good 1v1 potential. Also has decent range damage. You can go survival bow and solos, which is good. I think it does struggle against Ranger though. And as well as other classes, like I think into Fighter, like it's not too great. Barbarian's kind of hard. Even Wizard sometimes, but I think you can make Bard work. I think it is good. Not the greatest, not as good as some other classes most of the time, but very viable. Druid, I'm putting in A. Some people are going to be mad that I didn't immediately just put him in S+++ tier. But I do think Druid has a hard time against the best classes in solos, which, let me just throw him up there right now while I do Druid, is Rogue and Ranger. I think are really good into Druid. Backstep Ranger, you know, you have your spear. Feels like Druid can never actually kill you if the Ranger plays properly. If they ever go Panther and Pounce, you legit just backstep spear, hit him in the head, and they're like 1 HP already. Also, the bear build, I mean, you can just shoot them the whole time. So, yeah, like, because of that, Druid does have bad matchup into Ranger and Rogue. And, you know, arguably some other classes, right? But the strength of Druid is the fact that you can play like an absolute evil man. And just, like, only take third parties, only take fights that you know 100% you can win. And otherwise, you just fly away, you know, chicken or Panther chicken jump across the module. And you can just, like, follow people around pretty much on this class and only third party, only take easy fights. And if you do that, I feel like you just will never die, which makes it very, very good. I wouldn't put it in S tier because of the bad matchups, but it's easily A tier because of the survivability of the class. Next we have Barbarian, so Barb's an easy A tier. I mean, Barb is really good in solos. I will say, though, it's only an A tier if you have a bunch of Francesca axes. You don't have Frannies, this class is trash in solos. It is horrible. But if you do have Frannies, I think it's good. And that's just my opinion on the class. High stats, like, as robust, best perk ever, pretty much. And yeah, like, if you don't have the Frannies, though, you have no range. You just get kited around by everyone, which isn't too great. But it's kind of a class where it's better against people that are like are worse at the game, for the most part. You can just, I mean, a new player, when they run up against a barbarian that knows what he's doing, like, it feels pretty hopeless. But if you watch, you know, for example, like good ranger, good rogue fight barbarian, then it kind of feels like barbarian doesn't have any agency in the fight other than just standing around a corner and hoping they can get a landmine on him. Because against, like, these two classes, at least, you just get kited forever. Also, like, backstep spear, you know, destroys barbarian. Throwing knives, just throw 100 billion throwing knives at the barbarian and then go in when he's low. But yeah, it's definitely good in solos. I think some people overrate it, but I think it is the easy A tier. I'd probably put it above Bard. Fighter is also, I think Fighter, easy A tier for solos. Fighter is kind of just the all-around class. Like, in solos, you can play Fighter forever. It's consistent. You know, if you run into certain builds when you can have a rough time. I think you have to play, like, Slayer Fighter I think is pretty bad. So you just play Plate Fighter, but you build the play items that give you Amara, so you don't have too horrible of matchups into, like, Wizard, Warlock, Cleric, whatever. And if you do that, I think the class is just really good, really solid. Has range damage, tanky. Good at, like, you know, not excelling at anything particularly besides being tanky, like PDR, but, like, pretty good at everything. Decent damage, range damage, yeah. Also sprint, just really good ability. Let me throw that in there. Let me move, I actually put Warlock below Wizard, let me move that. Last we have Sork, and Sork I put above Wizard because you don't have to reset for your spells, which is the main problem of Wizard in solos, but I don't know. Sork, it feels weird to me because Wizard damage feels so much better and more consistent, But sometimes Sork, if you land everything, you can kind of combo people and just kill them. But yeah, at the same time, Sork doesn't really have that many tools for like Barbarian specifically, as well as it's hard to gap close on a Ranger that's like playing a decent distance, and Cutthroat Rogue can just destroy you instantly. So it feels like Sorcerer does have some like really bad matchups. I think if you're insane at it, maybe the class is even like S tier, but I just have never seen that. And it seems okay, definitely playable, but not insane. Okay, getting into duos. I think duos is the game mode where you can play pretty much whatever you want, and it's the most balanced, I would say. You can play like any comp in duos and make it work, but there definitely are some classes that still stand out above others. And like, obviously, number one is just gonna be Ranger. You throw, like, ideally if you play duos, you always want a Ranger in your comp, no matter what. Class is just insane. And I don't want to be the team that doesn't have a Ranger fighting a team that does have a Ranger, ever. So, for that reason, throw him in S. Next, Rogue. Put Rogue in A. I think Rogue, you can play it in a few different ways in duos. Like, you could play a tankier Rogue and then, you know, box people up while your Ranger shoots them. Or you could play with a bunch of throwing knives and fight people with, you know, the range by just spamming them with knives while he shoots them. Or you can play that you have a class that baits for you and you go invisible and kind of just landmine, you know, use creep. I think that's probably the weakest of the three playstyles for duos, but yeah, Rogue is definitely viable. I don't think it's S tier, but definitely good in duos. Bard, also throwing A. I think Bard's, you know, Bard is kind of the more teammates you have, the better the class becomes, because the Bard team buffs are really good. Celerando, Allegro, Warsong, and Rousing are all very nice to have. And yeah, Bard is just solid. I think you can pair Bard with almost any class and it's really good. I think especially Bard Ranger is an insane combo. Probably I mean, if I had to pick a best duos combo, that's definitely up there. But to be fair, I haven't played that much duos. I don't have like a super good grasp on it. But from what I have played and seen, yeah, Bard is an A tier. And Druid also an A tier. Probably throw below Rogue and Bard though. I think you can play Healer Druid and starting in duos, which is nice. But the main strength, in my opinion, of Druid that makes it so good in solos, obviously, is that it can survive forever and always escape. But in duos, you don't want to just leave your teammate to die. So I don't think it's as good as solos, but it does have a couple playstyles and it's pretty strong. So, good class. Fighter I throw at the top of A tier. I think Fighter is really good in duos. I think Fighter is kind of the class that you want to pick for your frontline in duos. So if you play something like Fighter, Cleric, Fighter, Bard, I think those are better than playing something like Barbarian Cleric or Barbarian Bard. And the reason is that Fighter has the longbow. And because of that, you can play Fighter as the class that frontlines and goes in, but you can also play him, just play around your range damage, play with your longbow, and just, you know, chase people down, shoot them, play far away. It's really nice. I think if you like have a Barbarian instead of a Fighter, you're more restricted on what you can do with your comp in the duos, in my opinion. And yeah, for that reason, I put Barb in B tier. Like, if you're gonna play a Barbarian, I think it just makes more sense to be on the Fighter in duos. Barb has some strengths, like in a straight up 1v1, then Barbarian versus Fighter, Barbarian can definitely win. It might even have the advantage because you have Warmaul and stuff, depending on your build. But I think it's less versatile than when you run the Fighter in duos. Like, it just makes the comp more kind of like one-dimensional, which is basically I'm running in and killing everyone. Which, it still works. I mean, it's still playable for sure. I think duos is, you know, that's why duos is so balanced. You can play anything, but yeah. And next you have Wizard. Wizard is going into A tier. I put him like right here. And yeah, Wizard, the disadvantage in solos where you have to reset isn't as big of a problem in duos because your teammate can cover for you, give you information on what's going on around you. So it's easier to get a reset off in duos. Makes the class that much better. I mean, Wizard has insane DPS. The utility's nice with haste and vis, stuff like that. The main problem was just having to get your spells back, which still is a problem in duos, but it's not as bad. So, throw him in A. Soric put in B. Soric can be kind of rough because sometimes it's hard to cast spells around your teammates. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm not 100% sure where I would rate Soric all of the time. It's hard to say. I just haven't seen too many insane Sorics. And I think it is good. I think it's playable and you can do stuff, but I think it is hard to pull off. Harder to pull off than Wizard. Where on Wizard, you can just spam your hit scan. On Soric, it's a little bit more coin flippy. And then Warlock, I'd probably say, is the worst class in duos. Yeah, the nerfs and changes just hit Warlock pretty hard. And honestly, it's not a class I would want to have over anything else in duos. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. Cleric, throw him in A. I think Cleric, it's definitely way better in duos than in solos. I think you have more options for builds you can do, because you can go like full support Cleric in duos and it's good. Where obviously you can't go full support in solos, you're gonna get destroyed. But yeah, Cleric in duos is a lot better. You can go like a caster build, or you can go smite, hybrid, like kind of tanky and fight with your frontliner. And yeah, just overall good class for duos. Alright, so now we're in trios. And yep, Ranger's S tier. Need I say more? You can just, any team comp of 3 classes, you can throw Ranger in there and it's good. And it's that simple. But next up we have Cleric, which also I throw in S tier. I think Cleric's kind of the same way. Cleric is just the god class of trios. You have Res, which is insane. The heals heal for so much at high gear score. And yeah, they also buffed Locust Swarm to do like so much damage. So not only does Cleric have really good healing, really good utility, but also does a lot of damage. So Cleric is just insane. But I would still put it below Ranger just because I think Ranger is that broken and just the best DPS class you can play if you want damage in this game. But for support, you would want a Cleric. Okay, next you have Fighter. I'd probably throw Fighter in B tier. I think it's, like, let me say this about trios. It's kind of like duos, in a way. I think it's fairly balanced right now, actually. So I wouldn't probably put anything in, like, D or maybe even C. But, yeah, I'm going to put Fighter in B because I think if you want a frontline in trios, it's better to have a Barbarian. I think having 2 classes buff you, you'd just rather be Barbarian than a Fighter. The way the fights pan out, like if you have a Fighter with a Bard and a Druid, Healer Druid, versus a Barbarian with a Bard and a Healer Druid, I think the Barbarian's just gonna win every time. They just pull the War Maul out and GG. And yeah, for that reason, I don't think Fighter is that good. I think it's just mid. Like you can play it for sure, but I don't think it's optimal. Next you have Bard, and Bard goes in A tier for sure. I mean, Bard is always good with teammates, like I said earlier. I mean, yeah, not too much to say about Bard. Like, you probably want him in your trio's team comp, but you don't necessarily need it. I saw a lot of people dropping Bard for Ranger when they were running, like a popular comp was Bard, Cleric, Wizard, and then it swapped into Wizard, Cleric, Ranger. Because, yeah, when you swap the Bard for the Ranger just does way more damage. The Bard buffs his team up, but kind of nice if you run like a comp that is Wizard, Ranger, Cleric. You have so much damage, you can just roll over people. With the Bard, you still can, but it's not as much, so. The reason I put Bard A, you could argue it's us, but I just don't think you need a Bard like you need these 2 classes right now. Next you have Rogue, and Rogue I would put in B tier. Probably above Fighter. Like frontline Rogue's not bad, so like it beats Fighter probably. So just for that reason, I put it above Fighter. But I don't think Rogue is too great in trios. Like it's just not an optimal pick. I can't think of a comp. Like thinking of team comps, I would probably never want a Rogue if I'm building an optimal comp. But it is definitely playable, so I wouldn't put it in C or D. I don't even think it's weak necessarily. I think it's just not optimal. But if your team plays around you properly, you can make the class work 100% and definitely viable. Next you have Wizard. Wizard goes into A tier. High A tier. I think it's better than Bard. Yeah, Wizard and Trios, so obviously, like I said earlier, the problem with solos can't reset. Trios can definitely get your reset off with your teammates covering you. On top of that, you have Fire Mastery, one of the best perks in the game in Trios, because teams with healers can feel just sometimes invincible without Fire Mastery. It's like the best way in the game of applying anti-heal. On top of that, the utility in Trios like Haste Invis, super nice. Wizard just, since the beginning of time, has been an insane Trios class, and it still is. Next you have Druid. Probably put Druid in A tier. I think I only have Druid in A tier because of Healer Druid. So I don't think Healer Druid is as good as Healer Cleric, and the reason is because it gets countered pretty hard by a couple things. Purge Shot and Spell Predate really counter Healer Druid really bad, but if a team doesn't have one of those two things, then I think Healer Druid is insane. It doesn't have Res, which is a huge thing. And like offensively, Healer Druid is pretty bad compared to Cleric because of Focus Form and Holy Strikes, but overall it's really good. I think if you play no healer, like if you're playing a Panther Druid in Trios, I don't think it's too great. You can still be kind of an assassin and like pick off their backline, but yeah, I don't think that's too good. I'd probably throw it in B tier around where Rogue is with that build. But because of Healer Druid, I would throw it in A. Then Barbarian, throw in A. Somewhere around Bard, probably above Bard, but I mean, Barbarian's the best front line in Trios. And yeah, just throw him an A for that. I think also if you're playing a Trios comp, like a comp that's easy to pick up. I'm not saying it's like it has a high skill ceiling for sure, playing it perfectly. But a very easy comp to pick up is you just grab Barbarian, Bard, and then throw a Cleric, and that's the classic buff ball, brain dead run in, W key, kill everyone comp. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think I'd rather have a Barb than a Fighter for the front line. Because Barb will beat Fighter in the 1v1 when they're both buffed up. And yeah, Barb is just the best frontline class for Trios. You could argue it should even be an S tier because of that, but I think you can play comps that don't have a frontliner with the Ranger specifically, and they're still really good, so for that reason I wouldn't put an S tier. Next you have Sork, and Sork I'd probably say is the worst class in Trios. Like I said before, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about Sorcerer, but probably throw him in B tier. I think like it's hard to deal damage when you have teammates around you on this class, especially if you have a Barbarian fighting the enemy of Barbarian. The enemy Wizard will be like zapping and using Lightning Strikes, where on Sorcerer you have Lightning Storm and then nothing else pretty much to help your frontliner that's fighting the other frontliner, which is kind of just hard to do damage without hurting your team, in my opinion. Then at A tier I throw Warlock, because just for the fact that Warlock has weakness and spell predation, those two spells are so good in Trios actually. I don't even think the class is too good overall, but I do think those two spells make the class like worth playing. Because yeah, if Warlock spell predation really counters comps that have a Druid or a Bard, which a lot of the good comps are running. So because of that, throw Warlock in A tier. And next I'm going to do Arena. So first I'll do Solo Arena, and I'm just going to kind of speed run the Arena part of this. Played a decent amount of Arena, but I mostly played Solo, so I didn't see that many pre-modes. Not really 100% sure where I'll put all the classes on that, but for Solo Arena, I think it's pretty, it's going to be pretty polarized. Like, there's definitely going to be someone in D tier. But yeah, starting off, Cleric, throw him in A. I think it might be rough if you're low elo and like your teammates don't play around you being on Cleric at all. That can be pretty bad. But if you have decent teammates, I think Solo Q and Cleric is good. Next you have Ranger, S tier. I mean, come on. Like, come on. The thing about Arena is, since you're forced to fight in a module, playing a lot of these modules, having a longbow, and the enemy has to fight you. If they don't have a longbow, they just have to run at you and just get shot 100 times. Like, it just makes Ranger, yeah, it's just insane. And you know the drill with Ranger, spear backs up completely busted, so even if they do close the gap on you after getting hit by 7 arrows, you just spear backs up, they lose the melee fight anyway. Even if you miss all 7 arrows, you just kill them anyway, so yeah. it's insane. Next you have Druid. I think Druid is like pretty bad in arena, solo arena, because healing Druid, like you need a comp for it. And I think playing Druid with forms is just not that good in arena overall. I think it's one of the worst classes, to be honest. So throw him in C. Wizard, really good for solo arena. Classes that, like, you know, Wizard, Cleric, you need to reset for spells, are just insane in arena because every round you get all your spells back. So yeah, you just dump everything, and usually by the time you've dumped everything, the round is over anyway, and then it resets and you have everything back. So Wizard, really insane in arena. Barbarian, pretty horrible for solo arena. Just would not recommend playing that class. No range damage, so wouldn't say it's D tier because still strong in melee 1v1s and whatnot, but yeah, not great. Then we have Bard. I would put Bard in A tier as well. Bard at least has some range damage. You can go Serbo, Crossbow, buff your team. Pretty nice. Also, Bard is pretty nice to pair with Ranger, as well as the other S tier class, which is Fighter. So the fact that Bard is so good with these two, because giving Warsong to someone with the longbow is like really nice. As well as Allegro, Rousing, you know, that general stuff, and you have range damage yourself. That puts Bard in A, but yeah, also Fighter and us because you have a longbow and you're tanky as hell. So it's just good for that alone. Yep. I think Ranger is better than Fighter for solo arena, but I think if you're not playing Ranger, the next boss is Fighter. We have Warlock, which is horrible. I think definitely the worst solo arena class. I don't think Warlock is good in arena at all, to be honest. I don't think the melee build is good, and I think if you play the kiting, like, Phantomize build, you just end up, like, not doing enough. Your DPS isn't high enough in arena for the class to be very good, in my opinion. You also don't actually have, like, any range. You have Dark Bolt, but it's pretty trash range damage, so yeah, just not a good class, in my opinion, for solo arena. Rogue, I throw in B tier. I think Rogue is kind of, the lower elo you are, the better Rogue is. When you get higher, like, people keep track of you more. But you can still make it work, and in solo arena, people aren't going to be too coordinated. They're going to be, like, VoIPing to each other. The Rogue went invis, and then, you know, confused about where you're at. I don't think it's as good as any of these other classes above it. But I don't think it's horrible. I think you can definitely make it work. Then we have Sork, and Sork throw in B tier as well. I think Sork decent in the arena. Like, some maps are pretty good, but on Sork it's kind of hard to close the gap. I feel like Mud Shield got nerfed, and I don't know, it's Sork definitely struggles against classes with longbow, but you do have some stuff that you can do. I think certain spells also kind of become better in arena. Like, I think Flame Wall, pretty nice to, like, zone off these arena maps, because people can't go around it a lot of the times, because, you know, you're locked into one module. And you can just, like, spam a million flame walls. It's pretty troll. But, yeah, I don't think it's insane, but I think it's playable for sure. Alright, and lastly, we have pre-made arena trios. So first class Fighter, I would put in probably B. So for Fighter, yeah, it's like the same. A lot of these are gonna be similar arguments that I gave for normal trios, like in a dungeon. So for Fighter, I would just rather have a Barbarian frontline or even Warlock frontline, which I will say, specifically in arena, Warlock frontline is actually pretty good. I think in the normal game, people are able to just kite you out too much and move around the map and avoid you. But in arena, they have to fight you, which makes it a lot better. But I'll get into that in a second. Because yeah, Fighter B tier, it's not the best frontline. If you're playing a pre-mid, probably not what you want. And I guess I'll just rate Warlock now because I was talking about it. But yeah, I think specifically frontline Warlock is very good in arena trios pre-mid. The comp you probably want to run is Warlock, Bard, and either Cleric or Druid, but ideally Druid, I would say. And yeah, it's just a good comp frontline Warlock. If you want to know what that looks like, I would check out Kazarin on YouTube. He had made quite a few videos of him playing frontline Warlock, and Yeah, if you watch him play, you'll see why it's so good. The nice thing is you have blow corruption, so if you run into another buff ball team comp that has a healer, and you hit their front line with blow corruption, you kind of just win immediately, because they're not getting healed for anything anymore. Yeah, it's pretty good. Next, you have Ranger. I actually wouldn't put Ranger in us tier. This is the only game mode where I would say Ranger's not us. I think some comps can kind of neutralize Ranger in Arena. It depends on the maps, and I still think it's really good. Like, maybe the best class actually, but yeah, it's more dependent on, like, you can get a bad map and then Ranger's not as good. But yeah, you can still play comps with Ranger in them that work together very well. I think, like I said, Ranger, Cleric, Bard, Ranger, Cleric, Wizard, stuff like that. Ranger, I think Ranger, Bard, Cleric is going to be very good as well. You just buff the Ranger with like 1,000,000 weapon damage. But though that comp can struggle against buff ball just running at you, so that's kind of why I wouldn't put an S tier. Still very good though. Cleric, probably second best class. Cleric in Arena, really good. A lot of trios, pre-mid Arena comps want a Cleric. I mean, he just pumps out 1,000,000 heals every single round, and he's just insane. Need I say more? And Wizard, probably the third best. Wizard is really nice. You can throw it into pretty much every comp. Like, Wizard can be the class that's... You can be more of a support buffing your team, or you can be the one carrying and getting buffed and killing everyone. Yeah, Wizard in Arena is just insane. Like I said earlier, you get your spells back every round, so you just... Every round, you are just blasting crazy. And yeah, if you use all of your spells on Wizard, if you go like 10 spell, you don't even need that one perk that gives you more spell charges. I forgot what it's called, like spell overload. Even without that, by the time you've blasted every spell on both your wheels, like, the round is probably over. You won or you lost, so it's just, yeah, Wizard's just really solid. We have Bard. Bard is really good in Arena, pre-mid. Most comps, I would say, want a Bard. Honestly, most comps want these three classes: Cleric, Wizard, Bard. Some assortment of them, or maybe even all three of them. But yeah. The only reason I wouldn't like just put these three in S tier immediately is because I think it's an option, but it's kind of like, if you don't have to have all three of these. It is, but yeah, it's a good option, but you don't have to. Because you can also run Barbarian, which I'll throw in A tier as well. Feels like everyone's just kind of A tier in pre-made Arena. It's like all these classes in A, you just want a mix of them, and then that's a good team comp. But I don't think anything stands out particularly as by far better than everything else. Yeah, Barbarian's easily an A because just a really good frontliner. I would argue usually Warlock is better, but I think Barbarian also has its own strengths, and if you are really good at it, I think it's you know, that comp is very good. So throw him in A. Sork I would put in C. I think Sork doesn't like, fit into any comp too well, to be honest. I don't think it's that good overall. Pre-made Arena. You could probably do some stuff. You could even do like buff ball Sork probably. Like I don't know, some freaky frontline stuff, but I haven't seen it look good pretty much ever. And yeah, I don't think Sork is too crazy overall in Arena anyway, so leave him in C. We have Rogue. I throw Rogue in B. I think, I mean, in pre-made, like, your team, it's kind of a double-edged sword. In pre-made, like, having your team play around you more is really nice. Because in solo, if you play solo Arena and you're playing Rogue, sometimes your team just won't be setting you up in an optimal way. But at the same time, in pre-made Arena, the enemy team is also going to be much more aware of what you're trying to do. So it can be hard to ever make a play or get something done on the class. I feel like it's just very map dependent. And that's really what it comes down to. If you get a good map on Rogue, 100% you can win every time. But if you get a bad map, you just might lose instantly. So kind of how the class works, in my opinion, for pre-made Arena trios. Unless you have Druid, I would definitely throw Druid in A as well. It's just the class that you mix in with these. Because you just play Healer Druid, and yeah, I mean, that's that. Just Healer Druid plus, like, Wizard, Bard, Barbarian, those classes, and you just make a good comp with that. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Pretty You can play a lot of stuff, I think. But yeah, optimally, it's just some assortment of all these classes in A tier. But the reason nothing is in S, I don't think anything stands out too crazy for pre-made arena trios. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts. If I make any adjustments based on your feedback in the comments, or like maybe I get a different point of view on one of these lists, then maybe I'll throw something in like the description or the comments. Maybe move something around, but I think I'm happy with where I put everyone in these lists. Like I said earlier, tune in for those Twitch drops from April 12th to the 23rd. Twitch.tv/Repoze to get the free cosmetics, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Peace.